You're listening to the Ordinary Vegan Podcast, where we teach you everything you need to know about adopting a plant-based diet full or part-time. Our goal is to empower you to live a long and healthy life. If you have any questions, please send an email to questions@ordinaryvegan.net.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to Ordinary Vegans, podcast number 101, the top 5 ways to reduce microplastics in your body. If we haven't met, my name is Nancy Montori, and since 2011, I have dedicated my life to health and wellness and educating others on the power of plant-based nutrition. Everyone is welcome here. You don't have to be vegan or plant-based. You just have to be open to discovering new information that is going to help you live a long and healthy and happy life. Today, I want to start out by saying thank you so much for coming back. I've heard from many of you, and I'm back, and you're back, and this is such an exciting time for me. If you get time, please share the podcast and write a review so we can reach and help more people maintain and live a healthy lifestyle. Usually, my focus is on what we should put in our bodies to stay healthy. But today's podcast is about something we shouldn't be putting in our bodies, and they are called microplastics. A couple of months ago, I found out there were microplastics in my tea bag. I was not happy about that, and that inspired a deep dive into microplastics and how to avoid them. That's when I found a horrific new study that said our brains contain, on average, a spoonful of microplastics. This is equal to chewing up an entire credit card. So on average, we have a credit card worth of microplastics in our brains. And something else they found out that was troubling is that people with dementia had 3 times as many microplastics in their brain. And equally as troubling are that these tiny particles have increased 50% over the past 8 years. And it's not just the brain that microplastics are invading. Other scientific studies have found that humans consume 5 grams of microplastics every week. Microplastics have been detected in other parts of the body, including the lungs, the liver, kidneys, semen, placenta, blood, and even breast milk. So, how did they get there? It's not 100% clear, but some scientists suggest that it is probably entering our bodies at this alarming rate via livestock, because we irrigate our fields with plastic-contaminated water. Then we feed those crops to the livestock. Then we eat the livestock. So livestock can ingest microplastics through contaminated feed, water, and all kinds of environmental exposure, leading to their presence in the animal body's meat and milk products. Some of us don't eat livestock or drink dairy milk, but that's not the only way these microplastics are getting into our brain. Other studies suggest that microplastics also enter the human body through the nose, suggesting microplastics are in the air that we breathe. And unfortunately, no matter how fast we try to reduce plastic production, microplastics aren't going away anytime soon. Although we don't know all the impacts of microplastics, what we do know is that microplastics in the body can cause inflammation. Many of the nearly 16,000 different chemicals that can make up plastics act as endocrine disruptors. Endocrine disruptors are chemicals that can interfere with the body's hormone system, leading to various health problems in humans and wildlife, and especially children. Endocrine disruptors can mimic hormones or block their actions, or disrupt their production, which could impact growth, development, reproduction, and other bodily functions. There was a study done at UC San Francisco that connects these particles in a variety of serious health problems, including colon cancer, male and female infertility, poor lung function, which can increase the risk of lung cancer. Microplastics, smaller than a micrometer, known as nanoplastics, worry researchers the most because of how easily they can infiltrate our cells. This is a serious problem, and we have to take steps to limit our exposure to microplastics in our bodies. So, what should we do? I spent a lot of time researching this question. I also went to a department store to see what alternatives there were to plastic, especially in the kitchen department. And to be honest, it was very overwhelming. Everywhere I looked, there was plastic cups, plastic dishes, plastic containers, plastic kitchen utensils. It was truly endless, and it made me a little dizzy. Not that I never noticed it before, but now that I'm aware of the health risks of microplastics, I'm like, what the heck? How did everything become plastic? But all it takes is knowledge for us to stop protecting ourselves. So let's talk about the top 5 things you can do to keep your body safe from microplastics. The number 1 culprit and source of microplastics entering our bodies is bottled water. Based on 4 separate studies, the average number of particles per liter of bottled water is 94 microplastic particles. 94 microplastic particles from only 33 ounces of bottled water. Wow. And bottled water gets particularly worse if it sits in the sun in your car on a warm day, or when it has been squeezed. Never, ever drink a plastic bottle of water that has been in the sun. Sunlight exposure can cause the plastic to degrade and release even more microplastics, as well as potentially leaching other chemicals into the water and us. According to the International Bottled Water Association, IBWA, bottled water is America's favorite drink, which wasn't a bad thing because people saw it as a healthy alternative to soda, except they put it in plastic bottles. And the solution to this is easy. If you switch from plastic bottled water to filtered tap water, you could cut microplastic intake up to 90%. That's 90,000 to 4,000 particles every year. And another solution is to use a stainless steel reusable water bottle with filtered water to reduce microplastic consumption. Now let's talk about tap water. When plastic items are lidded, they break down over time, and these plastic items full of microplastics end up in our waterways. The particles can often be too small to be filtered out of water filtration plants, and they end up in our drinking water from the tap. So unfortunately, tap water can be spiked with varying and often large quantities of nano and microplastics. I believe in drinking lots of water, so I recommend always using a filter on your tap water. If that's not possible, a 2024 study found that boiling water can quickly and effectively rid your home drinking supplies of microplastics. And by a lot. According to the American Chemical Society, boiling and filtering tap water could help remove nearly 90% of nano and microplastics. When I was out shopping for glass alternatives, I bought a very large mason glass bottle for storing water. I do have a filter in my refrigerator, which is our main water source, and I also have spring water delivered in glass bottles. And while some refrigerator filters can remove some microplastics, they are generally not designed for that purpose. Refrigerator filters are primarily used with activated carbon to remove chlorine and improve the taste. If you're worried about your tap water, you can actually have your water tested. In the U.S., a place called Mulligan offers a free water analysis with supposedly no obligations to purchase. You can also get home testing kits online, which then get sent to a lab. We recently had some really bad fires here in the Los Angeles area, and I think if I was buying or building a home in those areas, I would definitely do a water test. Now, the number 2 culprit of microplastics invading our bodies are plastic containers. I know I'm surrounded by plastic containers. My favorite Chinese restaurants sends all their food in plastic containers, and now I have to avoid going there. I recommend cutting out all plastic storage containers. Plastic storage containers can release microplastics, especially if the food is put in the container and it's hot, or if your containers are old. And never, ever microwave a plastic container. So look around your kitchen like I did, and you might find many plastic utensils. Some of you have probably already done this, but I tried to replace everything with glass or stainless steel. Glass is the best alternative. Unlike plastic, which is derived from fossil fuels, glass is made from sand. Glass doesn't contain chemicals that can leach into your food or your body. Glass bottles are 100% recyclable, and glass can be used endlessly. I recommend boiling a big batch of water and put them in glass jugs in your refrigerator. Another alternative to plastic is stainless steel. It is durable, long-lasting, and free from leaching chemicals. Ceramic is another alternative. It doesn't leak microplastics. And silicone zip-top bags are a good alternative to plastic bags. And they are a little expensive, but they are reusable. Bamboo is another natural and renewable material that is biodegradable. But I personally stay away from bamboo because they say pandas are going to run out of bamboo because of climate change. The number 3 culprit of microplastics is seafood. A peer-reviewed study detected microplastics in 99% of samples of seafood, either bought at the store or obtained from a fishing boat. The highest levels were found in shrimp. The study recommended rinsing the seafood to reduce the levels of microplastics. The next culprit I want to mention are the clothes that you buy, especially for your children. If possible, don't buy clothes made from plastic fibers. In the U.S., the most common plastic fibers are polyester and spandex. My research says to try to buy clothes made out of organic fibers, especially for children. Also, synthetic fabrics lose microplastics, especially in your washing machine. The particles can end up in rivers and oceans and harm nature. We can help the environment by hand washing plastic fiber clothing, or when I was researching this, I came across something called a guppy friend. They are not a sponsor. I was just fascinated with this product. You put synthetic fabrics in the Guppy Friend bag before you wash them so they don't make their way from washing machines into rivers, lakes, and oceans. It also keeps the microplastics from going into your other clothes. They're not a sponsor, but I was intrigued by the product. At any rate, microplastics are released from synthetic clothes during washing due to the stress fabric undergoes in the washing machine. You can also buy a filter for your washing machine that specializes in capturing microfibers and stop many microplastics from leaking into our waterways. Always remember, you can breathe in these microplastics from your synthetic fiber clothes. The number 5 culprit, and what started me down this rabbit hole, was tea. Microplastics in tea bags. I was so disappointed to discover this. I love my chamomile and hibiscus tea throughout the day, and now I find out I'm drinking a warm cup of microplastics. This revelation was very alarming, so I did some digging to find tea without microplastics. Sadly, I found out that most commercially available tea bags can release microplastics when steeped in hot water, even the organic teas, even the popular teas. Think of all those teas lined up in Whole Foods or Trader Joe's, and they probably all have microplastics. I also noticed on many forum websites that people are repurposing their tea, cutting the tea out of the tea bags and making loose tea to avoid the microplastics. A few people recommended using a French press. This, of course, could drastically reduce the microplastics in your tea. Or you could use loose leaf tea paired with glass or stainless steel teaware. Another solution is to find tea bags made with sustainable and healthy materials that never release microplastics into your tea. I'm still looking for that. While loose tea itself doesn't inherently contain microplastics, the primary source of microplastics in tea is the tea bag itself, especially those made from plastic. Opting for loose leaf tea or biodegradable tea bags can help reduce your exposure to these particles. I also found out that we should avoid tea in those white paper cups that coffee shops use. Those cups could expose us to a boatload of harmful chemicals, and they could be lined in plastic. In the future, I will bring my own non-plastic reusable cup to coffee shops. It never ends. The other major sources of microplastics are plastic pellets for your dishwasher or washing machine. As I found out at the Natural Products Expo East, there are so many new plastic-free and eco-friendly tablets. I brought home a plastic-free sample called True Earth, and I thought it did a great job on my dishes. Personal care products are another culprit because they often contain plastic microbeads, which is used for abrasion and exfoliants. Microbeads are an environmental disaster that threatens our marine life and human health because they bypass water treatment systems and can be ingested by marine life, leading to toxins and potential harm to the ecosystems. Microbeads are plastic particles made of synthetic materials. You can avoid microbeads by checking the packaging for common microbead ingredients, such as PE, which is polyethylene. You might see the letters PET on your personal care item, which is another version of polyethylene. PA, which is nylon. PP or PMMA. You can also directly contact the manufacturer and ask if the product contains any microbeads. They are also present in some toothpaste and body wash. I'll leave these terms in my podcast notes so you can come back to that and check it out. The last couple of things I will mention are paint and tires. Wear and tear from tires release airborne particles that are inhaled. I don't know how to avoid that, but I would make sure my tires are new and not polluting the environment. Okay, this podcast was longer than I thought, but as Aerosmith says, I didn't want to miss a thing. Unfortunately, we will continue seeing microplastics showing up literally everywhere. And yes, they are hard to avoid, but hopefully this podcast will help protect your health and the environment's health. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I so appreciate all of you. If you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to reach out to me at questions@ordinaryvegan.net. I am here to serve you and help you on your quest to transform your health. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Ordinary Vegan. You can purchase my cookbook and my CBD from hemp pain cream at ordinaryvegan.net. Many people use my hemp pain cream for aches and muscle pains. Maybe it can help you. That's it. Thank you again for being here. Till next time.
Thanks for joining our plant-based community today. Together, we can accomplish great things. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of Ordinary Vegan's recipes and plant-based tips. If you have any questions or feedback, email us at questions@ordinaryvegan.net. Until next time.